Good morning, look at this chaos. This video is going to be a bit different. It's behind the scenes of the 16x4 gaming table. I thought I'd do this because a lot of the steps that I'm doing have been covered in the earlier videos on this table. So it's more of a show you me and the lads working on all different things, talk a bit why we might remove a bit of a kit or we might change things up a little bit and add a little bit more effort to make a piece look better, why we mould, why we cast things and how we do that, and why we do that, and just little things like just what goes off, because there's a lot of things that I think that we do that I've never really shown. So I thought I'll just set the camera up and I'll take a few shots and see if I can put a bit of a behind the scenes video together. Don't expect much because it's unplanned and I've got work to do, but anyway, I'll catch you in a bit. So with us doing a World War II Normandy board, I wanted a stone farmhouse and stables and barn and things. And this is the little Hay Saint from Sarissa Precision. However, with it being like a Normandy old style farm, it had it as brick and plaster. But I wanted the stone finish, so we put the wallpaper over it. And the doors were flush with it. They weren't like a paper door that you put on. So what I did was I cut the doors out. We put some new door frames on made out of balsa wood. And then we'll construct some doors later. Now, for the actual farmhouse itself, I was just going to use the house that came with the kit. And I was just going to copy what I've done on the rest of the barn and the stables. However, when I started cutting this out, I realised that the farmhouse was rather small. It would look nice and it'd marry up and it would fit, but I wanted this piece to be quite impressive. With it being the only building that's going to be going on that board, I wanted something that was quite standing out, and I wanted it to take up nearly a 3x2 area of this gaming table. So Daryl suggested we actually build his own and we make it a lot bigger. We make it like a big old stone farmhouse. So it takes some dimensions and he gets cracking away at cutting it out of some foam board. Now the reason that we decided to add this, it wasn't initially something that was going to do, but when you've got just one building on a gaming table, it's got to be impressive. And with it being a big old farmhouse and with the area of Normandy that we're doing, yes, it's not the exact farmhouse that we should be doing, but this is a very nice, impressive piece of terrain that'll be lovely to play around. So all he's doing is we're making it triple the size of the original farmhouse, and we're making it so the roof will carry on and it'll connect up well with the original barn. And we're just going to copy the brick texture. However, what we will be adding at some point is once we've completely covered everything in brick paper, we will be cutting some of the stones out of the brick paper and then sticking them over the corresponding stones on the paper to add a bit more 3D look to the paper. So it's a nice 3D paper, but if we can add a bit more depth to the occasional stone, it'll add to the overall build. And once Daryl had finished with this, it was time to get back to the monotonous brick paper from the original buildings, because this has got to go on all the buildings, interiors and exteriors of the other unbuilt buildings. Now we're putting, because the other unbuilt buildings are not built yet, we're putting it on both sides. So we've got some red brick buildings and then we can build up on the interiors with the plasterwork and wallpaper afterwards. Now for all the doors, windows, paths and all the other accessories that we need multiples of, we only tend to make one. Now we made quite a few doors. Wayne put some hinges and everything on these doors. We made some neat ones. We made some out of balsa so they look more like older wood. We made the paths. And the reason we're doing this is because we don't technically know how big the streets are going to be till we start building it. So what we do is we cast them and we do it so we can repeat them. And best thing about this is if the customer comes back and wants an add-on board, we've got all the original stuff that we can emulate just by casting it up again. Also, if another job comes in later, we've already got them, so it makes jobs in the future a bit quicker and easier to make. And this is why we cast things up, especially things for like trenches. They're pretty quick to make, trenches, but when you don't know how many you need, it's sometimes just quicker to make a good, decent length of your trench sections, and then we'll cut them all to size and cast them as we need them. And that's what I prefer about this. And if we do get any of the trench boards in the future, we've already done most of the work. So if you are building your terrain and you're doing something that you think you're going to reproduce and keep having to make over and over again, it's sometimes good just to make a rubber mould and cast them. Now, how we make as mould boxes, we use Foamex or EPVC, people call it lots of different things. All it is, it's like foam board, but rather than being soft and spongy, it's made out of plastic. So it's sheets of plastic with extruded plastic in the middle, so it's really strong. It's what sign writers use. Now, lay all your models that you're casting out economically into a box so you're not wasting rubber, and you want them so they're close enough together but not too close that you're going to tear your mold, and then just hot glue a box together. It's as simple as that. Now, I do get asked quite a lot how we fix things into the bottom of the mold boxes. I just use double-sided sticky tape, sometimes hot glue or super glue, but do bear in mind whatever you use, especially if you're using balsa wood, it's not going to survive very well. As soon as you start to tear that off the double-sided sticky tape, it will probably come apart. Now, the rubber I use is just a general RTV 25 silicone rubber. If you type in model making rubber molds, they're all roughly the same. I just get whatever's the most cheapest in the smaller quantities, because when you're buying rubber in small quantities, it's actually quite expensive, but you need to use it pretty quickly. Now, I am using a hell of a lot of silicone spray here. The reason for that is a lot of the balsa and the wood does take on the silicone, so we just overspray it with silicone so it doesn't key into the balsa too much, because obviously you don't want it to tear when you come to take it out. We do a high pour. I could degas this, but because it's for personal use on this board, we just simply do a high pour and demold that the next day. And then it's just a matter of cleaning the mould out, getting everything out and just trimming where the silicone's run under the tape a little bit, that's all. This can take quite a while depending on how badly you've done it, but just take your time and try not to tear the mould where you don't want to. Then for casting, it's just as simple as spraying with the silicone spray again. This is just a cheap pound shop silicone spray, and we use just a general purpose 2-part polyurethane casting resin. Any'll do, just Google polyurethane casting resin and buy the most affordable. And this is a white in colour. I use this because the pot life's about 2 minutes, and you can demold it in about 10 to 15 minutes. Depending on temperature. It was very hot the week that I was filming this, so it was going off pretty quickly. And then all you got to do is scrape it flat, so you've got a nice flat surface. And then once it's all cured and dried, you can take this out while it's still quite warm and flexible. I prefer doing that, one, because it's easier to get out some of the undercuts, and the other reason is all you got to do is lay it on something flat, and the flash comes off a lot easier when it's still warm and flexible, especially if it's quite thick pieces of flash. Now, this is why we mould things. These doors, we had to make loads of them. So we made up some with ornate hinges, we made some standard barn doors. I think about 6 different sizes. Now, the best thing about casting up these doors is, 1, it was quicker just to cast them and put them in this building. But 2, we've now got that mould. If I ever want to custom build a building again or a barn again, I've got it. And we did the same with some roof tiles. I bought some scale model roof tiles, we built a sheet, we casted it, and then we decided to retake all the cardboard tiles I'd put on all the buildings originally. If you've not seen that video, go check it out. But putting these resin tiles on looks a hell of a lot nicer. It was an extra day or two's work, but these resin tiles do add a lot more to the rendered buildings. Now, as you can see, I'd do an awful lot of work. Now, I couldn't do this on my own without the lads. We've all got his own key strengths. Daryl's amazing at cutting and custom building things. He's also good at sculpting. Wayne's great at sculpting, and he knows quite a lot about modelling and hobbying. And I'm just the general Scenics guy. I'm very good at organic stuff. And building large projects like this, having 3 people in their own area and skill, I think it adds to the project, and I'm really liking how it's coming together. Again, it doesn't look like much, but you'll see in the next video. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Just a bit of a behind the scenes of what's going off. A bit of an update on the board build, because obviously I'm still doing loads of things at once. So I thought I'd show you what we're doing and how all 3 of us keep on top of it. we've got another 2 or 3 days of doing the same things over and over again. So the next video I do will be literally building the town and the farmhouse onto a board. So they'll be the next videos. So the next videos will be proper ones, as in town boards, farm boards, trench systems. There's some proper terrain boards and that coming. So I hope you like this video, and it's been a bit unplanned, a bit disjointed, but hopefully you've learnt something. If not, if you've enjoyed it, let me know in the comments below. But if you want to support me, guys, and you want to do what you do, check all the links below. You can buy my Scenics. Any other way, there's Patreon and a load of other links. Alright, guys. But thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you for another one. I'll see you in a bit. Love, love, love.